Brogan, I'm so glad we're finally out of that slump of playing games about imminent fascism, and instead we're playing good games. Last week we played Halo 3. That was a good game.
Yes, it
So
was.
I can only assume that this week, what you have prepared for me, I haven't looked at what the main topic is, but I can only assume that we are playing a capital G good game.
You're gonna love it, Murph. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be great. But Murph, the only way to really enjoy a capital G great game is with a capital G great guest. And Murph, I've got one for you today. Freelancer extraordinaire, we've got Joe Richards in the house.
Thank you very much. Capital G, great guess. I was not expecting that welcome. Thank you very much,
Yes,
Brogan.
there's an applause, a canned applause. We're in front of a live studio audience. That'd be. Joe, how you been, man?
Good, good. I've been doing well, thank you. Keeping myself busy. I've been playing a particularly great game over the last couple of weeks. I can't wait to talk about.
Oh, no problem. First of all, we like to ask our guests the first time they're on what kind of gamers there are. Like, what games really attract you to this, and also how'd you get started in the industry?
Yeah, so in terms of my own gaming interests, I suppose I'm big into RPGs. Always been an RPG guy. Love a good story-based, like, characters. If you've got a good party, I'm probably there. Platformers, grew up with them, stuck with them. But I really just throw myself at anything, to be honest. I think you kind of have to. I've really branched out over the last few years, and that's kind of how I got involved in the industry. I sort of one day realized that, hey, I know I write about things. Maybe I should just start doing that. And I started writing for Superjump magazine back in 2023. And I went on to write for PSU later that year, and I've been doing that for almost 2 years now. And yeah, just been plugging away at stuff, and eventually I fell in with you guys.
Yeah.
Might I just recommend to the viewers at home, to me now, especially looking back at it, you have the definitive Astrobot review.
Yeah, no, for our dear listeners, I am not particularly fond of Astrobot, and it's kind of you to say that. Man.
What I like about that review, and what I like about your writing in general, is you're very honest about the game you're playing, but you're not necessarily like, you definitely try to see the best in everything. But but you're like me. It's like when you don't, you don't.
I
And
made
you're
some
like,
enemies there.
Yeah, yeah. It was a little rough, but I agree with everything you said.
I made some big enemies because I said that I thought Astrobot came at a really bad time for PlayStation, having just sort of cannibalized their own franchises. I don't know. I don't feel like turning Cat from Gravity Rush, which is one of my favorite games of all time, into just an walking iPhone Android thing is really tasteful. Nothing in that game
It literally
feels
just
tasteful.
boils them into IPs.
Yeah.
And like the base game is like a good platformer. We're not gonna keep talking about Astrobot, but like basically read what he wrote and assume that is also my opinion.
Yeah.
Because he matched it exactly. He was great.
It's a fine 3D platformer, and it has some cool ideas, but doesn't really do anything with the PlayStation brand, and it feels really just lame. It feels lame, and it has the same problem of just focusing on the same IP that they always do, like God of War and Uncharted, and I'm just kind of tired of it. And I feel like PlayStation has a much bigger problem.
You know what does not sound lame? Is this Clair Obscura. Can you describe to me this game? I keep hearing it. It's the new Buzz game. It's the flavor of the month, but is it gonna stick?
Clair Obscure Expedition 33 is a really interesting game because it kind of feels that it's... I'm writing a review currently at the time of recording for Start Menu, so I won't say too much as to not spoil my overall feelings. But it does feel like one of those games that's just slipped into our timeline from somewhere else. It's so creatively bold, and a lot of people are describing it quite favorably to classic Final Fantasy games like Final Fantasy X. The developers have been really open with their inspiration, which is great, but it's far more than that. It feels that it's coming from developers who have an appreciation for the RPG genre, and because of that, I do feel like it will stick. I hope it does, because it's clear that these guys love what they do, and it doesn't feel like we get many games like that now. Yeah, no, absolutely loved it, and it's French as well, which means it's really pretty. It's really pretty.
Wow, I've never heard an Englishman compliment the French before.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably going to get into really big trouble for doing that. I can actually see the police outside my
First
house right
Astrobot, now the anti-nationalism.
now.
But here's the, correct me if I'm wrong. I am under the impression that this is very like Baldur's Gate 3 meets more classic traditional RPG. Am I off the mark here?
No, I do
Like,
think the Baldur's Gate comparison, I think, in drawing people's attention to the genre, I think that's really, really quite apt. I've spoken to a lot of people who I know don't play a lot of RPGs, and they're saying, I'm interested in playing Expedition 33 because of how it looks and to be honest, the cast as well. You've got Charlie Cox, you've got Andy Serkis. These are names that people recognize, and I think people are, because of that, wanting to take the jump. It's the same way that Baldur's Gate 3 was really attractive to people who don't play Dungeons and Dragons. And it's clearly done well for them. I mean, it sold 1 million in 3 days. That's crazy.
for a studio like this, yeah, like this is a big deal.
Well,
It doesn't
like,
feel like a debut game.
When Bethesda shadow dropped their Oblivion remake, everyone was like, "Oh, poor Expedition 33, it's gonna get overshadowed." In actuality, it seems like Expedition 33 has overshadowed the Oblivion remake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
in
does
some
feel
ways,
like
yes.
that a little bit.
So when you say it's like Baldur's Gate 3, is it just in the how it's reaching the normie audience, or does this actually have like branching dialogue trees and skill checks like a Baldur's Gate 3? Because my understanding was that you play like a defined character.
Yeah, I would say the Baldur's Gate 3 comparison, I'd say, is more in terms of reaching an audience. The game itself is, like you say, each party member has their defined archetype that you get to mess around with. So you have your mage, you have your rogue, you have your blue mage, for instance, and each character does what they do with skill trees that you unlock over the course of the game. Where the game gets a little bit more experimental is what they call the Pictos system and the Luminous system,
The
where
Pinto system?
yeah, where you equip your characters with different what they call Pictos, and each one serves as like an ability. So one will give you 20% more damage on a counter, and so on. So you spend a few battles leveling them up, and then you can equip them on any character. Which, if you're familiar with the sphere grid from Final Fantasy X, it's not too different from that, where you steadily over the course of the game, you can kind of cross-pollinate your characters to really get them to where you want to be. It's a really detailed system, and I'm still working out the ins and outs of it, because I do feel like I've been playing the game wrong. Just because there's so many options, you can really break it. But yeah,
Let me ask. So as to not spoil, guys, read the review whenever it comes out. Let me ask you: do you feel like in 7 months people will still be talking about this game?
That was the exact same question I was going to ask.
I hope so. I really, really do. Characters. This is very difficult to talk about without spoiling anything, so I won't. But
Okay.
it does feel like Expedition 33 has the potential to make an impact, and I think a lot of it is seeing how it lands with people, because reviewers were very positive pre-release, and a lot of people have given the story praise. Obviously, it's a long RPG. Not many people have gotten through it yet. It's been out for, what, a week? So I would like to think that people will be talking about this at the Game Awards and saying, hey, this has a chance of having Game of the Year. Obviously, like, Game of the Year isn't the end-all, be-all, but I would like to think that people will remember Expedition 33.
Does it feel like JRPGs are back?
Well,
I don't think they've ever left.
yeah. I think this is again, like, the audience reach thing. Is a lot of people are saying that, oh, JRPGs are back. They've always, like, Brogan just said it. JRPGs are not or RPGs in general. They're not a dead genre. I mean, just last year we had Metaphor. We had Persona 3 remake. We there's a few that's probably escaping me at the moment, but
look, it's all the personas, okay, Murph? That's all you need to know.
I think the factor is probably Clair Obscura is not drowned in, like, anime aesthetic. You know,
Yeah.
I remember when this game was first shown off. Maybe it was the Game Awards or something like that, and it's like, oh, this European-inspired fantasy about a troubled world, and you gotta go kill God or some shit, and everyone's like, all right, it's gonna have, like, Souls-like combat, come on, show me the dodge rolls, and then it's like, no, it's a Persona-style menu-based combat, and that caught everyone's attention.
Yeah, the aesthetic, I think, is what's drawing a lot of people in, because, like it or it is how it is. A lot of people are scared away from Persona and games like that because of the anime aesthetic. You know, it's not for them, and that's completely fine. Clair Obscura is very much grounded in its style. It gets very, very, very adventurous with the types of environments you go to, but it's very much... It kind of has that Unreal Engine stink occasionally, where they look a little bit uncanny, but they do enough with it where it doesn't feel too strange. But definitely not anime influenced at all.
All right.
Look forward to the review. Do you know when the review would approximately be out?
Well, hopefully by the time of this episode going up, it should be out. If not,
judging by the pace of my editing, it will be 2 years from now.
Then it will definitely be up, but within a week or two, I would say.
Well,
Okay.
dear listener, what I'm saying is, once you're finished listening to this episode and you've given that sweet, sweet engagement, I think you should all make haste for Joe's review of Clair Obscura.
Lest you have broken worlds.
Yes. I have been off and on playing Haste Broken Worlds. This game came out this year, in February, I think. This is the new game from the Cluster Truck devs. I know they've made other games, but I know them as the Cluster Truck devs, because I love Cluster Truck.
Okay.
I feel like the sort of, like, hack streamer reviewer thing to say about this is like, oh man, it's the Sonic game we deserve. I don't believe that. Number one, because
Deserve is a strong word for anything. Really.
it's
The
a game
Sonic
about
game we
going
deserve.
fast. All right, you are this interdimensional courier, running through worlds that are actively, like, collapsing, and it's a roguelike system where you go into a node and you're presented with sort of like a grid map, and you're pathfinding to the very end to a boss fight. And each node on the path is like a new level where you run from beginning to end, and it's procedurally generated. And it'll be on a theme of whatever node you went into. There's like desert, there's Arctic, there's grassland. Honestly, I've only seen those three.
Okay.
And then sometimes on the path there will be nodes where it's like it's a shop, or you get a heal, or it's a special event encounter. And so it's about going fast because the world is dissolving behind you in real time. And you gain speed. Your character will run off ramps and just sort of drift in the air on the momentum, and you have to, like, tilt them so that they land parallel with the ground. And that will help you retain speed and also give you a bit of speed if you get a perfect landing. And then you also have consumables that are like, oh, you activate a jet board for a little extra distance and speed. Or you have a double jump or a grappling hook. And then in between, like I said, there are shops where it's like, oh, you can spend your currency that you collect during those missions. And it's like, oh, when you get a spark, that's the currency, that refills your boost meter. Or when you have a near miss with an obstacle, that heals you a bit. And it's fun. It's really fun for the first 2 hours. And after 2 hours, you kind of realize that's all it has. Everything you see in those first 2 hours is all you will be doing in the game.
There's not a lot of legs.
There's 14 levels in this, and like I'm at 10. And like I said, I have only seen 3 environments. There are only 3 bosses, and the bosses are cool, but it's just they're recycled. And just the gameplay never really evolves. Once you figure out how to land properly, the game can't really challenge you. And I wish it did, because it is fun. It's a needle threader game. It's about going fast and dodging obstacles. Secretly one of my favorite genres. But like I said, it just falls off. It got to a point where I was just like, I'm not having fun anymore. This is just mindless. You know?
Does it have anything in common with from the way that you're describing it? Is it similar in play? Like, is it a first-person sort of parkour game like Cluster Truck was, or
no? This is third person. You're controlling a little character, and I could see it. I could see comparisons to Sonic Boost games, in that sense. But there's no enemies. There's no like. I wish this game had a trick system. You know.
Right.
All you're doing is dodging obstacles and getting perfect landings. That's it. There is a story, but the story is told really weird and piecemeal, where, because it's a roguelike and they can't control which events you encounter, it kind of takes the stance of, like, you just know what's going on. The story begins, like, in media res, in progress, with the world's already collapsing and characters talking to each other like you know the proper nouns of this world.
Oh, right. The Final Fantasy 13 effect.
Sure. And so you'll get, like, special events where it's like, Zundara needs help exploring this world before it collapses. And I'm like, who is that? Maybe they were introduced, I don't recognize their name. You know? In the special events you get on the maps to bosses are fun because they mix up the gameplay quite a bit. It's like, it'll drop you in a larger environment that's like filled with rising and falling lava, and it's like, go find the exit in 30 seconds. Or it's like, run all around this map, and as you run, it paints the level, and like the music starts flowing in the more you paint, and you're trying to get 100% before a timer goes out. Like, those are fun, and I kind of wish the game explored more with those rather than it just being special events. I don't know. I was really looking forward to this game. It does have a banging soundtrack, like Cluster Truck did, and I really like how the soundtrack evolves depending on which nodes you go into, and how well you're doing in them. Like, there's a lot of variance in the music that's really cool to catch. But, yeah, I'm just kind of bored with it, and I have no real desire to go back and finish it.
That's a shame. It sounds, when you were describing, like, oh, the world being coloured in as you're right, that's the type of stuff that I love. So it is a shame to hear that they don't really do much with that.
So here's the real question. The real motherfucking question, Murph. There's a demo to this game. Can I get all of what I want out of the demo?
Probably. I played the demo back in Steam Next Fest when that was. And I was like, because I was thrown off by the storytelling in the demo, and I was like, well, probably in the main game they have like an intro cutscene or something that explains what's going on, and explains the mechanics. It doesn't. the demo is basically the first level of the game. So I think it's worth a sale pickup. It is something that I think like could be a cool down type game. Like, oh, I'm bored, I don't know what to play, just kill a few minutes in Haste. Beyond
Do
that,
they?
I don't see it making my end of the year list.
Do you think have they sort of said about supporting the game for a long time, or is it just sort of as it is now?
I think it's as it is now. It didn't release in like early access or anything, and I haven't really
Okay.
seen them. I don't know how well it's done. You know, uh,
Reviews are positive at the very least. So.
yeah. I mean, it's a hard game to hate. It's also a hard game to love. I kind of wish I could just say like meh,
It sounds like
but
you'll for a game called Haste. It sounds like you might be done with it
I know.
with Haste.
I know.
Sounds a little slow, but you know what game is not slow, Murph? Joe's been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X. Is it X or 10?
It's X as far as I can. Unless they're doing the biggest misdirection of all time, then I think it is X.
If the next one is called Xenoblade Chronicles 9, how crazy would that be?
We'd be moving.
It's counting down. Oh, that'd be crazy.
Xenoblade is moving into Kingdom Hearts territory of naming, which I don't think anybody needs.
Maybe they should just not do fractions. I think Kingdom Hearts fucked up when they included fractions in their titling.
The fractions make sense if you play the fucking... No, I'm not going to get into it. God,
Yep. 358/2 does make sense if you work it.
Here is the actual Sonic take for the entire episode. It is just like Kingdom Hearts, and
Sonic.
that's it. I'm gonna leave it at that.
We'll have to we'll have to circle back to that one. But yeah, been playing the remaster of Xenoblade Chronicles X, and it's been a really bizarre experience because I was very much I was in the crowd of being very excited for this game, finally getting the chance to escape the Wii U, and I played it, and I remember it's one of those games that I've not played for nearly 10 years, and so I went back to it and I thought, oh, I'm gonna love it. And I realized that I had a lot of problems with that game that I completely forgot about. Which is a shame because I've been liking it and it's a very impressive remaster. But oh my god, that game is... I think it needed a little bit more than a remaster in some places.
Why? What do you mean by this?
How to explain it? So there's just a lot of odd design choices. Xenoblade is very much a level-based RPG. It isn't a Dark Souls where you can go up to an enemy that's 30 levels higher than you and actually have a chance. If
You have to grind.
Yeah, if an enemy is bigger than you, you're just gonna take one hit and you're gonna be dead. The issue is that a lot of main story missions have areas that have monsters that are 10, 15 levels higher than you that will kill you. And running away from monsters outside of using your scale, which you don't get until partway through the game, it feels impossible. And I've been experiencing that a lot in the game, which is a shame. But that doesn't take away from all the other cool stuff that it does do, which is very much the same.
Is it good impossible? Like, player hostility is good impossible, or is it the devs didn't think this through impossible?
I think it's the devs didn't think this through. It's one of those things that was addressed in Xenoblade 2 and 3, and then they didn't retroactively give it to X, which is a shame. I think it's a tall order, because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is my favourite game of all time. So I'm going to be quite harsh on X in a few ways. But it still has cool things going for it. It's still a very distinct game in its story and the way that it handles its characters. It feels far closer to a Bethesda RPG, where so much of your experience with the game is going to be down to what side quests you decide to do, which characters do you speak to, which is fun. I enjoy switching on the game and just doing a couple of quests, but it's taken some getting used to because I love 2 and 3 so much, and they're really focused stories that going to this one feels really bizarre again. And they did include. I've still not gotten to it, to be honest. But the epilogue that resolves the cliffhanger from the original version of X from 10 years ago. Apparently, that's supposed to tie into the greater Xenoblade mythos, but it's all a bit weird with Xenoblade right now.
So all I really know about this game is that it does like you get like a mech, right?
You do.
And then
Your scale.
It's seamless. You get in the mech, and then you're on the mech on the overworld, and
Yeah.
you're just doing mech shit.
Yeah.
Is that fun?
It is.
Guess
I
is
think,
it as fun as it looks?
I would say so. Yeah. You spend so much of the game running around on foot and seeing these huge creatures that when you eventually get your giant robot and then unlock the ability to fly, it really sort of sets in how impressive this game was at the time. Monolith Soft are wizards when it comes to developing games, and I feel like this was the fact that this came out on the Wii U, of all things, speaks to the talent that they have, because it is genuinely seamless. It is, you get in the robot, you fly away, you go to where you want to go. You can fly all the way from one end of the world to the other, fly into a city, see what's going on, then leave again. It's really, really well constructed. And if that's the type of story you like, where you're very much thrown out into the world and told to do whatever you want, fantastic. I just wish there were a few more things in place to make the experience a bit smoother, because it's an issue I have a lot with open world games that also have level systems, where yeah, you can go wherever you want, but you can't really, because you're going to get steamrolled by something that you didn't see coming. It's it's a blessing and a curse, and I think I'm trying to think of a game that has resolved this problem somehow, and I can't really think of one. But
You mean in terms of them like having like areas where you have to grind and stuff?
yeah, I'm because if an open world game has a level system,
I think that it kind of falls...
there's a pull up my glasses here. You could do multiple things, like you could do level scaling or enemy scaling. So
Yeah.
like you look at a Bethesda game like Skyrim or Fallout 3, and they'll do enemy scaling where the enemy's health and damage scales to your character. And that's how they do that, but that also means you can kill a Deathclaw pretty easily. I think that there's effective ways and reasons why developers have these huge spikes in enemy power, but I feel like if it's so clearly like meant to be off-putting, then there's probably an issue.
yeah,
You
it's an issue of sometimes there's just a monster that's level 70 walking through an area that will aggro to you and will immediately kill you without any real ability to get away from it.
See, that's my issue. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't mind if you put in high damage monsters that are going to kill me outright. Give me some fun escape methods. You know? Let me be a mouse to that thing's cat. And then when it's my turn to be the cat, that's exhilarating. You know? Make it fun at all levels to fight a high level monster.
Yeah, this is the issue when I feel like it's an exclusively this type of RPG problem. I had the same issue with Pokemon, where you do just wander into something and it's an immediate game over because the math isn't mathing for you. So what chance do you have of surviving? You're kind of just stood there looking silly while a monster gets to wail on you. It's a small thing, but and Xenoblade, for what it's worth, is no stranger to having higher level monsters in early game areas. It's a really good way of encouraging people to come back later and say, "Oh, this monster that I think, like you said, Murph, you know, becoming the cat to the mouse. This monster that steamrolled me earlier, I'm going to steamroll him now," which is it is fun. Everyone remembers the immovable Gonzalez from Xenoblade 1. The issue with
Isn't that
Xenoblade
what
1...
Mario calls himself when he's a masked wrestler?
Possibly. He does call himself the...
He's the Great Gonzalez.
It's the Great Gonzalez, yeah. But you can see that monster and it's signposted to you, and you can avoid it. With Xenoblade X, I did just genuinely... I was doing quests, and then this monster just ruined it, and I had to walk back about 5 minutes. It's a shame.
I hate it. I hate it when monsters ruin good games. Brogan, do you want to tell us about City of the Wolves?
Oof. Oh, this is a rough one, guys. So
Sorry, was that a
new
leading
Fatal
intro?
Fury is out. Guys, we have a Garo sequel. It's crazy.
Yes.
The problem is that there's a lot of... It's the stuff around the game that kind of sucks on like a massive scale. The Saudi kingdom's like marketing campaign, including multiple celebrities that are deeply, deeply problematic, is just one big domino to a bunch of other small things that add up to like a very unpleasant experience when you're not playing the game. But when you are a fighting game fan playing it, it's pretty good. And this one definitely speaks to me. The characters I like are pretty good in this game. It's a very neutral heavy game. Fireballs are good. Combos are a little rough and curious in this one because combo structures are like usually either linking EX moves into other EX moves or feint canceling. So it's all very complex stuff that it's either complex or it demands meter. So like it is a very demanding game when you do your combos, and like it like in the drop of a hat you could just fuck your entire round up, especially when like the opponent's in SPG. It can be overwhelming at times. I think the game is really fun, though. I admire it being a Garo sequel, and then like their solution is to have all the typical SNKKF characters be DLC later down the road. I think that's an effective way to do it. I don't know how long the game's lifespan is going to be. I don't know what the reception actually is. It's hard to tell. I hear good buzz, I hear bad buzz, and I see it being okay popular, but like it's not doing crazy numbers, that's for sure. So I guess it's going to be a huge we'll see on the lifespan of this game. But as of right now, this is my favorite modern fighting game.
Wowzers. So, I mean, it's very friendly to zoners, which you play. Now you were all about Kine when we were playing Garo back in the day, but you said you wanted some of that Billy Kane action, whose name is actually pronounced Kane and not Kine.
It is Khan. It's Billy Khan.
What the fuck? No, I remove my question. I'm not talking about this game anymore.
I mean,
no. Good. What was your question, Murph? Go ahead.
Who did you land on?
I am multitasking different characters. I play Kine typically. His combos are really hard. And like, there's a little bit of elements to him that make him more difficult because of his charge nature to him. And like, he's got a lot of set play stuff. He's a bit complicated. So if I don't want to be complicated, I'll go Billy. And Billy is like actually still really, really good. He's still like top 5. And like, he is really fun, and he plays a lot like Axel. Like, it's very clear to see the Axel Low Billy Khan comparisons. And then I also secretly have a third tertiary backup, which is Marco. I play Marco sometimes.
Mm-hmm. But I hear Marco's low tier in this game. No one's playing butt.
No one's playing Knush butt. I think it's the problem is this is a game where you can't just be honest. Even though it is a quote-unquote neutral heavy game, if you're only honest, you're not going to go very far. You have to have some bullshit. And Kine has a lot of bullshit.
What do you think the Saudi royal government meant by that?
That's a great question, Murph. Well, considering that they are now our new sponsors, I think they meant great things. I'm just kidding.
This podcast brought to you by the Saudi government.
Joe, did you play City of the Wolves?
No. But I have been following it very, very, very closely. I think we've obviously in our little circle we've been discussing a lot about City of the Wolves, and I've watched a good friend of mine has been playing it, and I've been watching them play it. And I'm very much in two minds about it. My experience with fighting games compared to most is really quite light. I spend a lot of time with Street Fighter 6. I sort of dip my toes in with Street Fighter 5. So I am really new to the space in the grand scheme of things. But City of the Wolves is such a fascinating game to me because I remember when it was announced and I was really excited because, I mean, I don't think you need to be a fighting game fan to appreciate that, oh my god, a Garou sequel? That's cool. That's really, really cool. And then I forgot about it for a while, and then I think around when the, let's just say the Weird 2 characters got announced, that's when I started looking into the game again, and I was like, oh, this is really strange. And obviously we've talked extensively with people about the ethics of putting Ronaldo in a game like this. Are we allowed to say his name without summoning a monster?
We'll be fine. We'll survive.
We'll survive, yeah. The just weird stink around adding Ronaldo and Ganache into the game. It was a really, I think, a difficult conversation for a lot of people to have, but it was I think I do think a lot of people forgot that SNK were now being held in that position, and it makes it makes for a really like I said, interesting game because for what it's worth, everything looking back and seeing all the reactions to trailers and stuff, people were very positive, and then it only took that to completely reverse the narrative around the game, which is a real shame. Mechanically, it looks brilliant.
I was one of those. I was really like, oh man, the Garou sequel. That's what I'm gonna go in on that. That's gonna be my fighting game this year. And really, just all the discussions around it took the wind out of my sails. And right now, I'm kind of like at maybe the year 1 edition on sale. Maybe is when I'll finally pick it up and try it out. But at that point, the community, like in our community of friends that play fighting games, it's going to be dead, and I'll just be playing it for myself, you know? Like, I don't know. Maybe if it has a real fun showing at EVO, that'll instill some hype in the actual gameplay of it, because the actual gameplay of it does look fun. I love the visual style of it. All the characters, you know, have great models. Except for the one that looks like a default Unity man, and we know which one that is.
I was about to say.
You know, but if it comes down to main stage Evo is a Ronaldo mirror match, that's gonna suck.
Apparently he is quite a good character, I've heard.
He is. He's a lot like Manat from Street Fighter V. It's like a lingering ball projectile.
That makes me sad, because I love Manat.
Yeah, a little bit of that. I wanted to say 2 things. It's not just the Saudi stuff, and the Cristiano Ronaldo stuff. All that makes the game very unpleasant and sour. It is also, I'm being serious, the menus. Menus and all of the trappings around the game, the story mode, all of this stuff is some of the worst I've seen in a modern fighter. It is just the core gameplay I like.
This is true. I had blocked out the menuing in that game from the 2 betas we did.
It is it's the same menus, Murph. It's the same.
I
It
feel
is
like it's the
that.
curse of just a new fighting game. We
No, this
always
goes
have
above
this
and
moment.
beyond
This,
because
this
going
is
from
this is another level. This
This
is
is
advanced darkness.
it isn't
when you
a
suddenly are controlling a cursor with your
Wait, no.
controller.
This is a Microsoft
Really?
Excel sheet, okay?
It's that bad?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh,
The
God.
other thing I wanted to say was just a general finger pulse of the genre right now. Is it feels like 2 years ago, it was in a really, really good place. Or like when Tekken came out, it was in a really, really good place. Where the games coming out were great and people were listening to the fans, but not too much. And the games were solid. And I think now there is a lingering, in case anyone who's out of the bubble doesn't know, Street Fighter 6 barely gets any updates. Strive is stuck on a bad update. And Tekken is also stuck on a bad update. And now this game just came out and people don't want to play it. So the genre is in a very weird turning point where the games want to be good and like they can be good if we find the path forward. But otherwise we are in a weird state of the industry right now.
Yeah, no, I would pretty well agree with that. Street Fighter 6 is at least it's slow. It is incredibly weirdly slow, but at least the game is good by itself, you know.
They didn't fuck it up. At the very least they didn't fuck
Yet.
anything up.
They haven't screwed anything up yet. But it's just the how long updates are taking, to the extent where I think Capcom put out a statement not too long ago to say basically that they were refocusing their development on content that you can use in Fighting Ground rather than, because the game is getting updates. It's just getting updates to the stupid battle passes for avatar items that you're
No one
never
wants that,
really gonna see unless you're actually standing in Battle Hub, which most people who are playing the game aren't doing that.
And the other thing to it, especially regarding character output, is they very clearly timed Elena, which is the new character coming out, to the Switch 2 release. And I feel like they adjusted a lot of their project schedule to accommodate this new console. I don't mean to be like this. I don't know any real fighting game fan that's going to buy it on the Switch 2. Maybe. But like...
I'm going to do it now out of
sense,
spite.
Do it, please. They need the sales.
They need the sales, and I'm going to join a weekly on Switch 2. Not
I'm
wired, but Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a Guile main, but I'm only gonna use shake controls.
Oh,
Yeah, that sounds
yeah.
great. Oh my god. Alright, Murphy. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo may be the worst monster. But I hear that there is a convention of monsters. Am I correct?
Yeah, I've played Monster Prom 4, Monster Con. Do we all I in my circle of meat space friends, we all know what Monster Prom is, but I don't know how ubiquitous it is in the gamosphere.
I have played the first two. I didn't realize there was a third one. I played the first one and then the camp one.
Okay. So there was a third one. It was called Monster Road Trip. And for those that don't know, Monster Prom it's a goofy 4-player competitive dating sim where it sort of has a gameplay cycle of you go to different locations and you gain stat boosts as a result, and then you sort of link up with your current object of affection and do some dialogue choices that are stat checks in secret. And it's all to build up your stats enough so that you can ask them to prom, to the Monster Camp Meteor Shower, and in this case, it's the last day of convention rave. So, yeah, Monster Prom 1, pretty fun. It's kind of like the default Monster Prom experience. Monster Camp is the XXL. They added so many characters to that game. I know some people that prefer Monster Prom because it has fewer characters and running gags to keep track of. And then Monster Road Trip is not even a dating sim. It's like a cooperative road trip sim where everyone's trying to manage their the road trip's collective stats. because if you let
Is
like
it like Oregon Trail but co-op?
Yeah.
a little bit, because you rather than each player having their own separate stats, the party as a whole has stats, and the branching paths on the road trip will increase a stat and decrease another, but you don't want any of the stats to hit 0, because if it does, the road trip ends, and you're trying to reach
I
your
just want to say
destination.
co-op Oregon Trail sounds like a banger. Write that down, game
You can get
developers.
you can get dysentery together.
Yeah.
I do believe there is actually like an Oregon Trail secret ending to Monster Road Trip. And that's kind of like the fun of the franchise, is that there's a lot of just like in-jokes, a lot of gags. You know, I find it funny, but I could definitely see, not even having heard anyone complain about the writing, I could find some people finding the writing cringe, you know?
Yeah.
Monster Con is very much just more Monster Prom. It's more scaled back than Monster Camp was. There's fewer characters to keep track of, and honestly, that makes it a very refreshing experience for this franchise. You have an entirely new cast of, well, not entirely new. Some are revisited, but cast of like dateable characters. They bring back Liam, the hipster vampire from the first game, and he's selling yaoi art on like the con floor. It's great. It's a great gag. There's also a clown you can date. There's an idol clown. That was my first.
God.
I streamed this game, actually. You can find the VOD on the YouTube channel. I had the music up way too loud and didn't realize it till after. But
Nice.
honestly, I'm just like, I just love this franchise and I want to plug it. I think it's funny. I like to laugh. I like to make funny voices with friends.
It sounds like a really nice offbeat little visual novel.
Yeah, it's like, the thing about, I would say, the banner statement is that it's wholesome, right? It's all in good jest. There's no like secret dark ending to this game, and if there is, it's a joke, you know. Trying to think of like what my favorite gag so far is. Okay, there's a
the
running
yaoi
gag
art?
through. What was that?
Your favorite gag wasn't the yaoi art?
There is like a gag about the cock doodler who is going around the convention doodling cocks on everything. And by the fourth time they said the phrase cock doodler, that's when it got me and I started laughing.
It's a funny word.
There's a bit where you get trapped in a game show. An event where you get trapped in a game show. And your two options are to like distract the game show host by starting your own game show within the game show, or the second option is unhinge jaw, release the bees. And of course, I had to unhinge my jaw and release the bees.
Where did the bees come from?
You ate a bunch of bees earlier. It's established. And like the other games, there's a lot of secret endings. In this game, they really lean more into giving options for like asexual players or players that don't want to get like too spicy. You can actually choose when you're selecting which character you want to like focus on for your game. It's a pepper system. There's like no peppers, 1 pepper, 2 pepper, 3 pepper, and that reflects how like sexual they will be with you in the dialogue. And I think that's a good choice for certain players that are squeamish about that sort of thing. And like I said, there's a lot more secret endings in this one, but they're kind of like hidden in the dialogue options, and you kind of have to be paying attention to them. There's a carcinogenesis secret ending where, as long as you are choosing dialogue options that have to do with crabs and returning to crabs, slowly all the other characters will start turning into crabs.
Do you actually get to see that transformation happen?
Yeah.
Is the question.
There's a lot of very specific character art. Monster Prom usually has like a store. Like one of the rounds is that you will go to a store and you will buy some sort of stat boosting item. In this game, the stat boosting items are all done as gachapon boxes, like mystery grab bag boxes, which are on theme for a con. But they're all like, the theme of each one is kind of like a monkey's paw thing, where it's like, oh, this one, there's like 3 that will have an effect on your stats, but you don't know what they will do. And it's like, I have one where it's, oh, it will reduce your highest stat to 0 and it will average out all your other stats. Or this one will just set all your stats to 99. There's another one where it's all location based, and it will say this, like, oh, you pull it out and it's like, oh, the main stage is now blown up. No one can go to the main stage during their location selecting phase. Or there's one where it's like subtle propaganda, where when it's your turn, hot dogs will just flash on screen. and your end credits will be suspiciously hot dog themed. It's fun. It's goofy. I have pulled these games out for a friend group, for party. It kind of depends on how much you like actually reading out dialogue. It just sort of having the board game aspect be kind of in the background. But, I like it. I dig it.
I just want to say, this lady, April 1st, is my beloved.
Yes.
I love idols, and I love clowns.
She is. You can get some clussy.
She gets me going, guys. Let's just say that.
What kind of podcast am I on?
There's that. Y'all ever see the clown in Ace Attorney?
The Gale Tornado?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, she's great.
She's that case in Ace Attorney is actually my least favorite Ace Attorney case of all time.
It's not a good case.
It's
her.
a terrible case. So seeing her become a meme, I was sort of like, oh, why? If you're talking about Ace Attorney,
clearly.
If you're talking about Ace Attorney clowns, at least talk about Mo from.
Mo's not sexy. Well, he's a little sexy.
But does Mo have a?
It's not the same.
Clussy.
Of course he does.
Yeah, every clown has one. That's by definition, Murph.
It does.
See.
Yeah.
I see. Hold on, wait,
Right,
Brogan,
guys,
you said there was some deep Brogan lore regarding Monster Ball.
That was
You
it.
did.
I like clowns.
Oh, right.
Clowns.
I see.
Thumbs up.
Well, that's
Cool. Dang. Brogan dropping the truth bomb of the century. He likes attractive characters.
he likes
No,
clowns.
I like clowns, man. Clowns are good. They're not scary at all.
So when you saw, like, It Chapter 2, you were like, oh, it's Daddy Wise.
A little bit with Tim Curry Pennywise. Not a lot of it with Skarsgård. Skarsgård's got the forehead. The forehead doesn't do it for me.
No, not a forehead. Not a forehead guy.
We should strike this off the record. We need to get rid of this off the record.
There's going to be a really
fact,
awkward
let's just
pause
lose
in the
it
middle
entirely.
of. Yeah, there's going to be a really awkward pause in the middle of this episode, and it's like, what was that?
A whole lost record, even.
Yeah. the lost
Tell us
records.
about lost records.
Well, I'll start this by asking a question. Have either of you two played Life is Strange?
I have not. It's on the list of franchises I should play through next, but it won't be the next franchise I play through next because that's already decided.
Well,
It is pretty good, overrated, but also overhated.
Oh, okay, interesting.
The rare combo?
Well, it's good that you say you played Life is Strange because that also means you've played Lost Records.
Okay.
In terms of this is the first, I believe, self-published game by Don't Nod, the original developers of Life is Strange, and they very much were banking on that legacy. In all of the game's trailers, they have, from the same people who made Life is Strange, and they go very much for the same energy of, it's teenagers doing teenage things with some supernatural elements kind of bringing it together. The interesting thing about Lost Records is that you jump between two different periods of time where you start as adults who are coming back together to work out what happened in the summer of, I think it's 1993, because for some reason no one can remember. and
Yeah.
then
Am I
that
loopy? Did a Life is Strange sequel not come out like at the end of last year?
It's not by Don't Nod. Don't Nod didn't make it.
yeah, the
Okay.
entire thing with Double Exposure was that it effectively is made by. There's an entire other conversation there about how Life is Strange Double Exposure doesn't work because it tries to honor the endings of both endings of the original game, and logically speaking, those two endings from the first game would not lead someone in the same direction in their life. That is world changing, and Double Exposure attempts to simplify it. It's disappointing in its own way, but Lost Records, I would argue, actually is more disappointing because it is from the people who made the original, and I would have thought if these are the people who understand their audience and what the audience want, but it I should say actually, I played this game in two parts because like Life is Strange, it came out in episodes or tapes as they call them because they want to be cute about it. And tape one is very slow, but it spends time setting up the dynamics of characters as often these type of games have to do. And so I thought tape two would be, concluding and bringing it all in. And while it does that, it's one of the most unhinged 5 hours I've ever played of anything. It was like I genuinely thought either I was drunk or the game was bugged.
Describe this unhingedness, because
Yeah.
that's a very scalpel-like term for this type of game.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's impossible. In some ways, it's impossible to describe because tape one
Do the
spends
characters
so
start
long.
turning into crabs?
Not quite, but they do start just doing weird things. I suppose to avoid spoilers where I can, and giving some vague details for the listener if they are interested in playing this game, which it is available on PS Plus if you do have that subscription. There's a moment in the game where you're running away from somebody else who is chasing you, and obviously it's a Life is Strange like game, so you're not actually playing the game, you're watching it. But the way that the characters run away, and the way that they're shouting, and the way that they're screaming, and the way that the camera is cutting in between the girls and the guy chasing them, it felt like, I'll be honest, it felt like someone's first film. It was edited so poorly, and it really felt to me that I can't really get into the details of why I think the game is particularly disappointing because it comes down to the ending. But it did very much feel to me that tape 2 and ultimately what people are going to think about the game was shoved out of the door, and they ran out of budget in how it concluded, which is a shame because I would have loved to have had another Life is Strange-esque adventure series to look forward to. But it does just sort of say to me that Life is Strange, I have grown far more critical of it over the years, but it really does feel like it was a one and done, and it was catching lightning in a bottle rather than actually understanding what made it good. Because you can take all the same parts from Life is Strange and put them into Lost Records, but it's just something wrong that doesn't work, and it's really strange.
Okay, let me say my opinion on the original Life is Strange, and then let me ask you a question about Lost Records, Joe.
Sure.
My take on Life is Strange is it might probably be the best of that era and genre of Telltale-esque adventure game choices matter stories, because it was really good about making it personal and not so much making it like Telltale kind of fucked up in some of their ones. There's like about one or two good ones. Life is Strange is obviously different developers, but like it's same basic thing, and like it was personal, it was well told. Do you feel like this one of its faults is that it's too safe going back to those laurels?
Yeah.
Or is it...
Yeah, no, I think it does feel far too safe because I think in some ways this could be a compliment, but you could push this as if Don't Nod was still allowed to use the Life is Strange name, this would have been Life is Strange 3. There's no argument about that, I don't think. But because of it being its own beast, I have to sort of think that, okay, they are just resting on the laurels of Life is Strange at this point, and in doing so, completely missing why it was so good and why people loved it so much, because you can't just do the same thing again and expect to light the world on fire for a second time, because standards have changed. And I mean, they did get actual, because the original Life is Strange was sort of a little bit stilted in its writing. I find it really weird going back to it now. And they did hire, I think, American consultants on the Lost Records in order to talk about dialogue and the way that the game was written, which is good. But it still felt like the voice acting was still really bizarre. There was too many strange things going on, especially in the second episode. It feels like they just ran out of time and needed to get something out so they could have a chance of... I mean, obviously, I hope they survive and I hope they get to keep on doing stuff, but they were... Oh, this isn't a good start for their self-published stuff. And I wish I saw what other people did, because people have enjoyed the game. I was very much the anomaly when I said I think this game is really bad. But who knows?
So I agree with you. I think it's important for developers to try new things and for franchises to grow and evolve. I think it's not good for them to just repeat the same things over and over again. Murph, can you talk to me about Myst 3?
Wow, you made the intro for me. That's impressive. That's yeah.
I try my best.
Myst 3 Exile. So we are in the Myst Minute, my ongoing project to play through all the Myst games, and Drowned God for some reason.
Nice.
So Myst 3, picking up, the brothers Miller are out. They made Myst, they made Riven, they said, those are the only games we want to make. Like, if we continue doing this, it's going to get stale, and we're just going to repeat ourselves. So they took the keys to the kingdom, passed them on to Mattel, who had a games division in those days, and they passed the keys to Myst on to Presto Studios, who at the time were making the Journeyman series. And the fun fact about the Journeyman series is that Journeyman 1 was called a Myst knockoff, despite the fact that it came out 9 months before Myst. So they made
Would you play Journeyman for your Myst retrospective?
I have not, but for this, I watched some Let's Plays. And Journeyman is, I wouldn't really, it's Myst knockoff in the sense that it's like 3D visual slideshow game. But the gameplay is very different. You're working within a UI. It kind of has like a PC dungeon crawler-esque way you move about it, where you're like clicking on arrows and like a turn radius and things like that. So they're making Myst 3 for Mattel. Mattel's game division goes under. They sell all their assets off to Ubisoft. And so now Myst 3 is published under Ubisoft, and they want to be like, we don't need the Brothers Miller. Look, the Myst franchise can continue on its own. Myst 3 is kind of a hard game to, like, land a verdict on for me. And it mainly has to do with the fact that I really like Myst, and I wasn't really hot on Riven. But I respect Riven, right? Like, I respect that the Brothers Miller were like, we're not going to make Myst a second time. We're going to make Riven as different from it in gameplay and puzzles and story as we can. Myst 3 is Myst 2 from a less interesting timeline. Now, Brogan, stop me if you've heard this before, In this game, you are on an island, and you go to different linking books hidden behind security puzzles, and you explore the worlds within while collecting special pages and being told a story about how Atris's sons are shit.
I've never heard of that story before. That's crazy. It's so completely different from Myst 1. I would call it Myst 1-2.
So the wild thing is, the last time I was doing the Myst Minute on this podcast, I was talking about the books. And I was like, I don't really see these being necessary. It turns out, the people that wrote the story for Myst 3 fucking love the books. Because the intro to this game is basically Atris and his wife summarizing the plot of the last book to you. The Book of Dunny. Which is all about post-Riven Atris heading off, finding survivors of the Dunny civilization, and trying to find a world for them. In this game, he has finished that world. It's called Relishon, and he has invited you, the stranger from the first two Myst games, to come see it with him. You visit him and his home in New Mexico, which again is a thing. It's 1800s New Mexico. And just before he's about to open the book and take you to it, who comes in but Brad Dourif, of all people, and he steals the book. And you go after him, leaving Atris behind. And Brad Dourif belonged to one of Atris's lesson worlds, which he created to teach his sons about the art of creating linking books. And he sort of just made the world and forgot about it, and Atris's sons made that the first place they conquered. And Brad Dourif doesn't know that the events of the other games have happened. He's gone a little crazy in his isolation, and he has concocted this scheme to make Atris go through his own lesson worlds, and all the while, like, monologuing at him about how his sons destroyed everything. And, you know, Brad Dourif very rarely gives a poor performance, you know. And he's good in this game, even if he seems a little uncomfortable doing FMV type acting to the camera. But he's a fun presence. It's just by the third monologue where he's talking to you about how shit Atris's sons are, I was like, man, I get it. I really do. I get it. I played the first Myst. You don't need to keep reinforcing this. But that's all in the story. From the gameplay side, Myst 3 is interesting because it's not using the slideshow gameplay. It's something closer to something Real Myst 3D did, which is you can navigate via, like, nodes. It's kind of similar to how, like, VR games handle first-person shooters, where you're sort of teleporting around. But once you're in a space, you have 360, like, look around. And to my shock, these environments aren't actually rendered in real time. It's all still pre-rendered visuals. It's just sort of pulling the... I hate to call it this, but the Five Nights at Freddy trick, where it's actually a PNG, like, rendered over a dome of vision. And the three ages you go to kind of run the gamut of very Myst-like puzzles and very Riven-like environments. And I say that it's Riven-like in that Riven was kind of like three big puzzles with their elements spread out across this huge map. In this, the puzzles are... There's really only 3 or 4 puzzles to an area, but they are spread out amongst a smaller map, and that makes them more manageable. Really, the main issue in this game is pathfinding because of how you navigate around. One of the worlds, Idana, which is this gorgeous, like, lush, like, hidden forest environment, where it's like all these plants and foliage, and you're kind of using the ecosystem to pathfind and solve puzzles. It's really hard to see where you're supposed to go because a lot of paths are just hidden in the foliage, or you're like, oh, I didn't think I could slip down that crack there, you know? Another age, which I don't really remember the name of, has this sort of, like, Japanese shrine, but it's a pinball machine aesthetic, where you're setting up these various Rube Goldberg machines to have these different marbles congregate in a center console. And that's pretty fun, and some of the, like, the more complex puzzles in the game, the issue is that it's sort of a setup of you... In one of them, you have to get the marble to pass through these different gates that are emitting different sounds. And they have these glyphs that you're supposed to memorize and input into them so that they make the right sound. And then you have to backtrack up this tunnel and up this ladder to the main console so you can watch a cinematic of you levitating in the air, and then you press the button that releases the marble, and that's a different cinematic, and you have to watch it to make sure you put in everything right. Now, the issue with that is if you didn't put everything right, you have to watch the cinematic of you failing, watch the cinematic of you on the elevator going down, backtrack down the ladder, backtrack out the tunnel, go back to each shrine, and try the new symbol, backtrack, cinematic, did I get it right? Nope. Do it all again, and it's a real time waster and really frustrating. But when you do get it right, the game has some pretty nice, for lack of a better phrasing, cum shots. The Age's End...
There's better phrasing than that. You could have chosen another word.
The money shot.
The money shots, yeah. Where you sort of, once you solve the final puzzle of an age, you sort of fly around it and get to look over all, like, the puzzles you've solved and areas you've been in, and then it sort of deposits you back at the place where you need to get the special page to get out. And that's fun, and that does really feel like sort of the next level of Myst's level of cinematicness. This game feels much more cinematic than Myst and Riven did. And I will say the final puzzles were really well done, and probably one of my favorite puzzles in the whole franchise up to this point. It feels very much like the Riven when you figure out how their number system works type puzzle, but in a smaller environment where you don't need to backtrack to a schoolhouse to relive it and see what you got wrong. All the information's right on screen for you. So, ultimately where I land on it is kind of like, if I had to give it a number or a letter grade, I'd say it's a B tier, which is also what I gave Riven. I think I would give Riven the edge over it, though. This is kind of like the Star Wars The Force Awakens of the Myst franchise, where, yes, it's a return to what I wanted, but it's just playing the hits, and maybe I don't know what I wanted, you know?
Riven's the best. I agree, Murph. You're correct. I
didn't say it was the best. I said it was better, probably, than Myst 3 Exile.
I'll take it. I'll take it, Murph.
The probably there is doing some heavy lifting.
But next time on the Myst Minute, we finally get, like, a proper weird one. Because we're not looking at any of the numbered titles. I am going beyond Myst, even, into Uru, the dead Myst MMO.
Ooh.
So we'll see what that's
Right.
like.
Is it completely
Guys.
dead, or is it a fan server being...
I think it's a fan server thing, but they released Uru Beyond Ages Beyond Myst, which is the MMO but single player.
Ooh.
So I'll look at both.
Nice. Guys, are we ready for the Variety Minute?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go fast.
Guys, the Variety Minute this week is the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. The last time the Day Dreamcast covered a Sonic game was back when we were doing Obscura games and we did Knuckles Chaotix. What a piece of shit that game
Which was Pavlos's favorite one.
Wild. Don't get me started. I'm still emotionally upset by that. How do we feel about Sonic? Joe, tell me how you feel about Sonic.
I love Sonic. Sonic is a franchise that means a lot to me. and it will probably always mean a lot to me. I know, you know, like I could go through the laundry list of things that people have said, you know, the rough transition to 3D, whatever. But I've always had a soft spot for him. I feel out of a lot of modern platform mascots, his games always have something to talk about. I never feel like I'm bored when I'm talking about Sonic. There's always some kind of just strange thing that a game does, and I'm like, this is cool. Sometimes it's stupid, but across the board, I would say that Sonic is probably one of my favorite franchises.
Okay.
Why do you think that is, and what can you tell me some of your favorites?
Ooh. This is where I get. This is the bit of the podcast where people are gonna shout at me. I mean, I don't know why. To be honest, Sonic has just always appealed. Funnily enough, one of the first games that I ever properly remember playing is Sonic Adventure. I had a PC copy, and I remember one day just wanting to play it so much that I pretended to have a headache or a migraine to head home from school early so I could just play more of it. Like, and I remember the issue was is that I'll probably tell more of the story in a bit, but the issue was that I was what, like 5 or 6. Like I was not old enough to understand how the fishing minigame worked. So you remember that you must have seen that one Game Grumps episode where Aaron can't catch Froggy, like for anything. It's one of the funniest breakdowns I've ever seen. It was like that, but I was an actual child, and it ended up actually giving me a headache. But if we're talking favorite Sonic games, I'll give myself 3. I'm not going to include Sonic Generations because I feel like it's kind of a best hits album, which I feel like is a cop-out answer for saying favorite. But Sonic Unleashed is my favorite Sonic game. Coming in after that is Shadow the Hedgehog.
Bold, extremely bold to say that.
Yep. And I stand by it. And my third favorite Sonic game, if we're allowed to include like spin-offs and stuff, Sonic Riders. The original Sonic Riders, not Zero Gravity, where they took all the cool trick systems away.
Sonic Riders OG is really fucking sick. I do agree with that.
It is.
That is an inspired pick.
If they ever remade that game, I would never ask for anything ever again.
Murph, what's your Sonic opinions?
Sonic, and we'll get into this when we talk about the main game. I don't know if I can actually land on a hard opinion about Sonic. Every time I do, it seems to morph and shift away from me. I can't land on. It's like the classic.
It's too fast for you.
You remember the episode of Community where Abed is asked, "Is Nick Cage a good actor?" and he loses his mind. That's how it feels to stare too deep into the Sonic franchise. My first Sonic game was Sonic Heroes on the PS2, and I remember loving it. Like, oh man, I'm a Sonic guy now, because I like games with lots of playable characters. And what has the most playable characters but Sonic Heroes? And then playing that again on a whim as an adult, I kind of had to issue an apology to my parents. To be like, God, I am so sorry that you had to put up with this game that never shuts the fuck up. You know, that game is really annoying if you're not the one playing it. And then I did play Shadow the Hedgehog. That was my second Sonic game. And I was quietly fascinated with it, but I don't think I had the words to describe the emotions of this is crap, but also I can't stop playing it. Why is that? I think if I want to say like what my favorite Sonic game is, I will not take the cop out route, or maybe I'll say Generations, followed by maybe CD.
CD.
You know, yeah.
Now that
Let's
is
fucking go, Murph! That's why you're on this podcast. That's right.
I have never made. I've tried playing the original Sonic trilogy, and I get to like Marble Madness Zone or whatever it is, where you have to like stand on platforms, and I'm like, I'm out. I am very much one of those people that are like, I think Sonic should never be. If it's a game about going fast, you should always have forward momentum.
The original Sonic trilogy is, especially the original game, is really. I think that game has aged terribly. I think the original Sonic is not a good game. Sonic 2 and 3, I love. CD, I've never really been able to enjoy it, unfortunately. It's never clicked for me the way that 2 did.
Okay. Guys, it is now time for me to talk. So, I think I'm going to open this up by saying my opinion and take on Sonic is probably two things. Number one, I think it is the best example of why momentum matters in platformers. Momentum and how a character moves is very, very essential. And you can tell when they made the 2D Sonics that they thought a lot about it. And then the problem with 3D was having the momentum, and you need the polish to make like a breathable, organic movement system, but fast and fluid. And for a long time they didn't nail it. I think the games are also. I think also the franchise is looks first. I think the key to unlocking why Pavlos liked Knuckles Chaotix so much is because Knuckles Chaotix is a very pretty game. It's visually good. It's musically good. If you are playing these games for the look and the sound of them, it's a very different feel. I think on that level, Sonic always has a bit of charm to him. He's very Mickey Mouse, and like you can look at him and go, I can see why someone would like that. My favorite Sonics are Sonic CD, Sonic 2, and then my third one would be a nebulous. If we're going 3D, I would probably go Generations or Unleashed. And if we were going if I could do a fan game, I would cite Sonic Robo Blast 2. That game slaps hard. I typically prefer the 2D games. I don't mind the 3D games. It's just that my first Sonic game ever was probably my first game ever. The games I remember playing as a kid were the Sega Genesis games. I had the Ooze game, I had Virtual Bart, and I had Sonic 2. And I played Sonic 2 the most because it was the best of those three. And then as we got older, I played Sonic Adventure 2 a lot. That's probably my most played 3D game. Sonic Heroes I was pretty met on. And my opinion definitely transforms on them. I'm okay with mediocrity. And I think Sonic has a lot of it. I like it when a Sonic game has interesting ideas. And I think that's going to set up for later. I did also want to cite that I think it has really good spin-off games. Joe already cited Sonic Riders, but the Sonic Advance games, Sonic Advance 1 is a really, really good Sonic game.
Mm-hmm. The fact that not enough people have played the Advance games, and I mean, I really hope that one day we get to see them on the Nintendo Switch online program, because those three games together, Advance 1 was okay, but Advance 2 and 3 are where the series really sort of goes into its stride, and it's kind of just wild to me that we were getting a new 2D Sonic game almost, I want to say, most years, and most just kind of overlooked it because it's. I nearly said mobile. That's how bad the.
Yeah.
It wasn't on mobile. It was on handheld. It being on GBA, I feel like meant people were. This is during the era where I feel that handheld games were seen as inherently lesser experiences because of the perception of like powerful console. But I think it's true that Advance 2 and 3 are some of the better, objectively better Sonic games.
I also wanted to highlight and shout out Sonic Battle. That was a 3D arena, it was like an arena fighter type thing, and like the campaign was really interesting, and you could combine different move sets. I really like that. I also really like Tails Sky Patrol. I get the feeling if I ever did another Sonic episode with Pavlos, it would have been Tails Sky Patrol.
The interesting about Sonic Battle is that I remember I think I remember that game having disproportionately long cutscenes.
Yes.
Like those cutscenes in that game were almost little.
The story was
moments.
extensive and is canon.
Isn't that also the issue with like Sonic Rivals on the PSP? Is that the cutscenes go on forever and then the actual gameplay is like 2 minutes for a stage?
Yes. I have gone through great lengths to play Sonic Rivals, and it is a very mid game. You know that there was like an era where they were trying to like bring the boost system to the 2D era. They did the same thing with like Sonic Rush, the DS one with Blaze the Cat. I don't remember what that's called. I think that's
It's called Sonic
right?
Rush.
Yes. And like I'm kind of mixed on those. Everything's better than Sonic the Hedgehog 4. I think Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is probably the worst Sonic game I've played, other than Sonic 06.
Is this episode 1 or episode 2?
Episode 1. Episode 2 kind of slaps. Episode 2 and I also episode Metal I like. But episode 1 is like notably bad.
Sonic 4 is a really interesting one because I feel like that was the if I'm remembering correctly, this was around the time when Sega was listening to people saying that they hated Sonic traveling with friends, and then part of the marketing for Sonic 4 was the fact that, oh my god, there's no Tails, and
there's no friends.
There are no Sonic doesn't have any friends in this one, and part of me sat there and thinking about it again, that's such a strange way to market your game. I know Sonic was going
I'm
through
just like briefly enamored with the idea of a Mario game being marketed like that. Mario leaves his friends behind.
Yeah, and you know, I think it really is very special. That is probably the best part of Sonic is its visual design and its cast of characters. For better or worse, and yes, by the end of it, or like by now, the characters are definitely going like but there's very strong entries, and even like modern era has some really really cool characters to them.
I mean, I'll defend the
I think it's
idea.
very special.
I'll defend the idea of like multiple, like the Sonic's cast of friends, because like I said, I like games with multiple playable characters because I think that's a fun way to introduce gameplay variety, especially if you can replay stages with multiple characters. You know, I remember I would watch other kids play Sonic Advanced, and I was very enamored with the idea of like how many characters you could play that game as, and how many different gameplay styles there were as a result. So yeah, if like Sega started saying like, oh, we're making a new Sonic the Hedgehog, and he's just gonna abandon all his friends, or you only play as Sonic, I don't know, that would feel weird to me, even though objectively the only Sonic games I really truly like are the ones where you just play as Sonic. It's just like the franchise is living this weird life where it's like, is it still cool? Is Sonic still cool? It's like when and I think it's a result of, like, the movies, actually, is the people coming out of the woodwork being like, no, Shadow the Hedgehog was always cool, and you guys just left something behind when you became adults, you know? I think there's something where I can't describe it. I'll probably find the thesis statement when we start talking about the main game. But Sonic is a very fascinating franchise to me, where it lies in the gamosphere zeitgeist.
It's definitely a question of sincerity and and how much you like things for what they are. And I could tell an opinion and how honest a person is, or how reflective they are based on their opinions on a Sonic game. We're gonna find out a lot about you, Joe, based on your opinions on Sonic Adventure. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, this is sort of what I'm gearing up for here. I'm sort of preparing to lose some friendships over this one.
Let's do it. Are we ready then?
Yeah.
Do we have any other final thoughts? I get the feeling that I really like the lane systems of the 2D Sonic games. I like the different characters. My favorite. Let's name some favorite side characters. How about that? Before we end.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
I like
am a
Vector
noted
the crocodile.
Vector's pretty cool. I like Vector. My favorites are Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic is peak for me. I'm fuck yes, this is the coolest character ever. And Mighty the Armadillo. I love Mighty the Armadillo. I don't know why.
He is cool. If I'm picking two, this is. If I had to pick two, I would have Shadow the Hedgehog as one of them. I have always loved that edgy little rat. And Big the Cat. Big the Cat is one of my top two favorite Sonic characters. I love him.
Okay.
He's just so silly.
This is where Brogan says, you guys want to know the deep Brogan lore? I think Rouge the Bat is hot.
She got big titties. It's great.
That's really brave of you. I'm so proud of you for that.
No, I don't like her because the game sucks. I don't want to play Knuckles missions ever.
Ooh.
So that's really what kills Rouge.
Yes.
I mean, there is a game where you can play as Rouge that apparently doesn't suck, but it's locked behind Apple Arcade.
Yeah, pass.
Oh, she is in Dream Team. I forgot that.
Everyone's playable in fucking Dreams. I'll never know how they play because it's locked behind Apple Arcade.
What were your two favorites, Murph?
My two favorites, I do like Team Chaotix. I do have a soft spot for in a world of wacky big events going on, they're we're just a detective agency. There's something funny about that. I fuck it, I do think Shadow the Hedgehog is really cool. But also, here's actual deep Murph lore. My favorite Star Wars character is Kylo Ren. So there.
That's a good take. These are good takes, Murph. All right, guys. Are we ready?
I think so.
Yeah. I want to fly high.
This week's Game of the Week is 1998's Sonic Adventure for the Sega Dreamcast, Developed by Sonic Team, it was the first main entry in the Sonic franchise in 3D. There was some small stuff like 3D Blast, but those suck. It was critically acclaimed and sold well, but was later criticized for its technical efforts. It was also really impressive for the Dreamcast, but there was a little bit of a rough jank to it. It did become a huge influence on the franchise going forward, defining an era, basically, and had interesting and edgy redesigns for some of the core characters. The game is most notable for having 6 separate campaigns, each playing radically different from each other, where you are different members of the Sonic cast. The story is about finding 7 Chaos Emeralds before the evil Dr. Eggman and the mysterious creature named Chaos ruin the world. Oh, also there's a Chow Garden. Joe, what did you think of Sonic Adventure?
This isn't the first time that I've replayed Sonic Adventure, so I sort of approached it a bit differently this time around. I sort of took my time a bit because I remember a lot. So I sort of slowed down, I started exploring some of the open areas and generally just talking to people. And I forgot how just bizarre this game is in a lot of ways. From like the character dialogue to just some ways that things are communicated. It's such a bizarre game that I can't help but love. Like the immediate thing that comes to mind is like the voice acting, right? And the the horror story of these poor actors not having any direction as to what they're supposed to be saying. It just creates this really bizarre, dreamlike element to Sonic Adventure that I can't help but love. But generally, I feel the game holds up quite well in a lot of areas, and I do think it is a much better game than Sonic Adventure 2 is.
I think Sonic Adventure is the final boss of contemporary games criticism. I think it is it is the ultimate Rorschach test. It is the occult. I think if you sat someone down who had never played a video game before and had them play Sonic Adventure, they'd be like, "All right, that's what a fascinating new medium this is." If they had played like minimum 5 video games, it doesn't matter what they are. It could be like Pong, it could be Spyro, and Beat 'em and Eat 'em, Clair Obscure, and fucking Pokemon Black. And then you sit them down and have them play Sonic Adventure, they're going to be immediately like, what the fuck is this? Right?
Yeah.
It is a strange game. Not even in the context of like, this is Sonic's jump to 3D. In that, it is strange. Why make a Sonic game like this? This is our like big shiny game for the Dreamcast. Why make the game like this? In the like reverent nostalgia for the better times of the 1990s in video games, why put this game on a pedestal? It is a strange little lump condensed in time that I can't dissect.
Yeah, no, it is. I would agree with that. I think my appreciation for Sonic Adventure, I think, comes from just how strange it is, and I do wonder why people hold it in such high regard. I understand why people want a remake of it. I 100% now get that after replaying it for this episode, but I do not. I think it's a better game than Adventure 2. I don't think it's a great game in of itself. I appreciate it, but oof.
It's like you can appreciate it on the level of like camp, right?
Yeah.
But there are some people that stare too deeply into the camp, and they're like, no, this is like actually brilliant because it's camp on purpose. It's like, no, shut the fuck up. They gave the voice actors no direction. That is canon. Like, Brogan, what about you?
This game is hard to talk about. There's so much to talk about, but you don't want to talk about it. That's the real problem with this game.
You've set me
the
a
issue
challenge
is,
here.
like, the issue is if you play Sonic Adventure like, I feel like everyone just has the same reaction, and you don't even need to talk. You're just
Wow.
like, yeah, I get it, man. Like,
Okay,
I'm seeing the same things you are.
I can go over some stuff. I'll talk about what I like and then what I don't like. What I like the 6 campaigns. I feel like if they cut Sonic's campaign a little bit and they made everyone's a little bit more even in pacing, it would be really, really good in terms of like playing a campaign for like, an hour and a half. It's over. Next campaign. Oh, it's now something completely different. I think that's really fun. And like seeing how they interlink is cute. And obviously it's hit or miss depending on the campaign. But like I think that's a bold move. And I also feel like it is technically impressive for the Dreamcast at the time. It's a case of it being technically impressive but not polished. That's the difference. This is a really good game to showcase, like, oh, this is what a system can do, but also this game needed more time in the oven. It's both of those things at the same time.
I'll say this in the game's defense in the visuals department. I've only ever played this on the Steam port, the Sonic Adventure DX version. On your recommendation, Brogan, I installed mods that made it look more like the Dreamcast version, and the difference is genuinely night and day. The Dreamcast version looks so much better.
Yes, yeah, 100%. Yep. Especially in the models. I feel like the models, like, you can tell, it helps with the era, for sure. Because, like, the glossy GameCube models and the PC models don't really do the game's shading or lighting any justice.
Yeah.
I feel like the lighting completely fails it.
Like Knuckles looks gross.
Yes. I would say that's the biggest offender. I also wanted to say I like the Adventure Hub world. I feel like this is the perfect size and the perfect, like, pathing for adventure stuff, with some exceptions. There's probably 2 asterisks to that.
Is it really, though, Broken?
Okay, the jungle kinda sucks.
Okay,
Kind
so
of?
The jungle is pretty bad.
the Adventure
But-
Zone concept, and, like, you can really see why they wanted to call it Sonic Adventure, because it is using something more like an adventure game, like a point and click, where you're in this hub, you're collecting items. Really, secretly, Sonic Adventure is a Metroidvania. But
Does that blow your fucking mind? No, I'm just kidding.
the issue is, number one, Tikal's little Navi spirit is just there, omnipresent, and it is a crutch for the player, because oftentimes when it's like, where the fuck do I go to next? No, really, where do I go? And you, like, find a key card, and Sonic's like, oh, with that, I can get into that building. It's like, which building? Which building? Oh, it's this one that I never regarded as being enterable, because you gave no indication that it's enterable until I had the key card.
The only time I was ever like, oh my god, where the fuck do I go? Is right after Gamma's, like, I don't know how many levels in. He goes, oh, I have to go to the fallen egg carrier.
Yes.
And that is like, oh my god, where the fuck is it? I was like, I don't know where this shit is. Turns out it's down below. It's like under the train station in the Mystic Ruins. There's a raft you gotta go on.
Yeah.
It's because that campaign goes on after the other campaigns end. So it doesn't make sense where it is. And like Tikal and like nothing else really signposts that. That being said, it's like, I think the actual, like, progression and, like, going to Tikal real quick and be like, oh, you gotta do this. It helps because there's, like, random flags of, like, oh, by the way, Knuckles is over here and you're about to trigger a cutscene. And the only way you would know that is, A, if Tikal told you, or B, you already knew that from another campaign. Those are the only 2 ways you would know that. And so it kind of makes sense for Tikal to be there for those random flags. I don't mind it. It's like, it's fine enough. and I was able to move around the jungle just fine this time around. I will say the game is a lot worse depending on the character you're playing as, especially for the overworld. I feel like as Tails or Knuckles, I didn't give a fuck. The game was like, oh, this is super easy, this is great. And then if I was playing like Big the Cat or Gamma, I was like, I'm feeling very clumsy. Or Amy Rose, when you're Amy Rose, you have to like run a little bit before you do the hammer hop. And like, if I could, I would just be hammer hopping everywhere. But like, I have to have the momentum build up to do that. Otherwise, like, ugh. Yeah, I'll stop talking. It's just going through things in my mind.
I think actually you mentioning that bit with Gamma and the raft underneath the train station. If I remember back when I played the game the first time when I was a kid, I think I never finished Sonic Adventure. I finished every other campaign. I could never finish Gamma's because I genuinely didn't know where to go. It was such a disastrous signpost that I genuinely just never thought to even go down there, which is really funny to remember that now.
Yeah.
I have played this game 3 prior times. And the first time was like, oh man, I finally get to play Sonic Adventure. You know, this is a bit of gaming history here. And then the second time was like, I should really try to finish Sonic Adventure because that's gaming history and I should see the end of it. And then the third time was, again, like, I really need to, like, add finished Sonic Adventure to my gamer backlog cred. And every time I'll get to playing as Amy, and I'll be like, I hate this. I'm gonna tap out. This is the first time I finished the game.
Let's talk about our favorite and least favorite campaigns real quick. Unless,
okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
Favorite and least favorite campaigns?
Yes.
I guess my favorite, genuinely, I would say, is Tails. I like the concept of racing Sonic to the end, you know, and Tails has a definable arc that carries through from if you've played him like up since Sonic 2, right? Least favorite. So least favorite, there's like the ones that are nothing, like Gamma's campaign, but Gamma's campaign at least has a good story. And then the ones that are a chore, like Amy's. And then there's Big. Big looms omnipresent. I think I'll actually say my least favorite is Amy's, because Amy controls like crap.
Yeah, you know, Amy's not really good until she's running and hammer hopping. I like the campaign pitch of Amy's, which is you're being chased by a predator.
Yeah.
I think that's cool until the moment you're like, wait, I could just hammer the guy, and I'm just kind of vibing. Yeah, he's no threat. If he was more of a threat, I'd be like, oh, this game kind of slaps. I agree. The thing about Tails I really like is because of his air mobility, and the fact that you're just always in a Sonic stage and you're racing Sonic, is like the game wants you to break it a little bit. It wants you to skip segments. And that's so fun to me. To be like, oh yeah, I can just fucking fly over all this shit. I don't give a fuck. And now I'm halfway through the level already. And Sonic is lagging behind. I think that's super fun. I think my least favorite is probably the Knuckles campaign. I think the Knuckles campaign is a little bit of all the bad stuff altogether. And it's a little bit longer than, like, at least Amy, Gamma, and Big are small campaigns. Like, there's not a lot to them other than story. Whereas, like, Knuckles is the story, and then it's the bad levels, and then it's, like, it's sizable. And you're hunting for treasure, and it's just not the vibe. The one thing I like about the Tikal major story arc is I do feel like there's like a little bit of an environmentalism / consideration angle with the Chow stuff, but I feel like that's not really played up very much, and it's mostly just,
I mean,
whatever.
The revelation that like Knuckles is Latino, right? Joe, what about you? What's your favorite, least favorite?
Uh, like I think I think I'm with Berger. I think my favorite is I think my favorite is Tails. I think the fact that you actually get to play as Tails. I this ties into one of my major problems with Sonic Adventure 2. I miss actually getting to be able to play as Tails in these games and being able to, like Brogan was describing, just fly over half of the level in most cases is really, really refreshing because it shows that they weren't, the designers weren't afraid to let you mess around. Like the way that they, you can see the progress bar on the bottom of the screen just leap ahead is super fun. I think that is, and the story as well of Tails actually growing up a bit. It was so good that they actually ended up referencing it back in Sonic Frontiers, which is so funny to me. Um, yeah. My least favorite, it would probably be Amy. I think she is just kind of a nothing playstyle because she doesn't. She runs, but she doesn't run as fast as any other character, and she's slow, but she isn't slow in an interesting way like Gamma. Um, and Big the Cat, I can't really say that he's my least favorite because I just think he's so fun. I think it's so fun. I think it's just so funny that it's just a fishing campaign, and that's how he got Big the Cat. I honestly can't even be angry at them for that. Although I did forget that the fishing mechanics themselves can be really, really fiddly. He's he's in a similar category to Knuckles to me, where I don't like Knuckles' levels that much, but if you know what you're doing, you can get them over with really quickly, and the same is true for Big. With Amy, there's no getting those stages over quicker. You're going to be just kind of plodding your way through these hallways, getting chased by the same robot again, which is disappointing and was definitely the low part of my replay this time around. Um,
Yeah.
I, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that stood out. It was, to be honest, I was mostly reminded about how hard they butchered Tails in Sonic Adventure 2, in that you don't even play as Tails, you play as a robot. Um, but yeah, no, I would say that those are my favorite and least favorites.
Well, how do we
The
feel about...
actual best part of the game is the Chow Guard. Y'all failed the test.
Ooh,
But
I'm going to be really controversial here. I do not like the Chow Garden much.
I've never
Tis-
done
tis-
any
tis.
Chow Garden stuff because I go in there, I try to hatch the eggs, nothing happens, I leave.
You throw the egg at a wall and break them open.
Oh, that's intuitive.
It's a little tough love. They need a little bit of a roughen up.
But it's
It
like
builds character.
I get the appeal of the Chow Garden because, like, oh, you get to get the creatures from the robots that you defeat, and you get to raise your own child. I just think the mini games and everything to do with it. It's the Nintendo. I mean, it's essentially the same as Nintendogs, but I don't know. I don't see the appeal of just giving a little animal other animals and seeing it run slightly faster on a racetrack that I'm not even contributing to. It feels really, really bizarre to me, and I can't believe people want them to make just a full Chow Garden game, because what would it be?
It should just be a mobile game.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that being true.
I wanted to cite some other things that I liked and disliked. I liked Eggman. I like Dr. Robotnik in this. I think he is the right mix of everything. He is a little comical, a little, like, definitely a little bit more ratcheted up on the evil scale, a little bit more serious of a villain. And his boss fights are typically the best boss fights, I would say. I think the Chaos boss fights are dog shit.
Chaos, this is something that I noticed on this playthrough, is that they take the time to show that, oh, Chaos evolves and changes with every Chaos Emerald he eats.
there are just a few forms of chaos that we never actually get to see because of the way that the numbering works, which I thought was really interesting. And I have to
Yeah.
wonder whether or not they actually like plan that out at any time.
Yeah.
Do you like Big's boss fight with chaos?
I love fishing, so yeah, I thought it was amazing. How quickly
It's just very, very quick. It's hard. Again,
it's
Joe's right. It's hard to be
incredibly
mad.
I know. There's like the boss fights are an interesting part of how this game just doesn't talk to the player. And I feel like the people that really love Sonic Adventure and are like, actually, Sonic Adventure is the best 3D Sonic game, are coming at it from, like, having played 2,000 hours of it, and they just forget what it was like to play this game for the first time and not know what the fuck is going on. Like Knuckles' fight with his final fight with Chaos, where suddenly, never introduced before, there are these freezer robots that are just hovering around. And T-Call says, if only there was some way you could freeze Chaos. Like, that actually took me a second, because I didn't recognize those robots as they weren't in any stages. They had, like, no function. And I was like, well, maybe I pick them up and throw them, except I couldn't figure out how to get Knuckles to throw. I was holding forward and pressing the action button, and he was just setting everything down gingerly.
Yeah. This game controls like a mess, and the camera's even worse. I wanted to complain about the casino stage. Fuck the casino stage.
You don't like playing pinball for 7 hours?
No.
While looking at nights into dreams?
another phenomenal Sega game.
Hard pass, Murph. I did like. There's my favorite stage in this game is a Sonic stage though, and it's the fucking city at night.
That's the one that's in Generations.
It's so good. There's a reason why. It's because it's good.
It does feel like it comes kind of out of nowhere. It's just like Sonic's like, all right, I can get into that building with this key card, and now he's like on the top floor and just running from the police.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how that shit works, but
it does. Like, how do we actually feel about how the Sonic stages in this goes? Because this is Sonic Adventure, and we've talked a lot about Tails and Big and Amy. But, like, Sonic has the longest campaign. He has the most content.
Sonic is
I said it at the start. I wish they cut it a little bit.
Sonic is a really interesting one because I think it leads into one of my bigger critiques with Sonic Adventure is that they spend a lot of time making like the adventure zones and making everything feel tied together. And a couple of zones feel like that. Like Casinopolis, I could genuinely believe, oh, this is the inside of the casino. A lot of other levels in the game just kind of feel like Sonic, like obstacle courses. That they have the they don't leave much of an impression on me in terms of their architecture or what they're doing. They just feel like they were created as game levels rather than being sort of parts of the environment where you find them, which is what I really value in 3D Sonic games. It's the urban sort of atmosphere. Like, this is why Sonic Unleashed is without a doubt my favorite. It's because you run through places that feel like you're moving fast. With Sonic Adventure, you do that all the time when you're going from level to level, but you aren't doing it when it actually comes to the level, like, which sounds really nitpicky, but that's always been one of my things with Sonic Adventure, and replaying it now has made me notice it more. But I also didn't struggle with Sonic as actually moving him around at all. I remember when I was younger, I used to struggle with the like spin dash and how it would fly off the edge of the like road or something.
The only time I really struggled in this game was on the final Eggman fight with the Egg Chimera or whatever it's called. And that, genuinely, I was down to my last life, no rings, on the last hit. And I was like, if I die here, I'm throwing this game in the garbage. because it's so difficult to make a precise landing, and I think that's why they gave him the homing attack, is so that gives you a bit more air mobility, and you literally hone in on whatever you're supposed to hit next. And things like the light speed dash and the light attack, I can't picture ever actually using those in a level because it takes so long to charge up. Right?
the really funny game design of give you an item and then immediately give you the item to upgrade that item's charge. Which is still one of my favorite little things, because I mean, it is technically optional, but I don't feel like anyone who has played the game treats it as optional. So it's just bizarre to me that you can you can find the Lightspeed shoes and then immediately find the bracelet to make it charge like in a decent time. I did actually forget that the Lightspeed attack was a thing, which speaks to how many times I used it in levels, right?
Mm-hmm. But it is weird that they introduced this idea of you find little upgrades for your characters, but oftentimes the upgrades don't do anything. It's like Amy's upgrade is that you can spin around with your hammer in place, and I can't think of any time I use that or would want to use that.
I would love it if you could do that spin and keep momentum and move.
Yeah.
And then you could become like a little tornado moving around. That would make it so much better.
Mm-hmm. Like Tails has an upgrade for that, but you're not really led
and he's
to
so
it.
Good. Tails is great. Dang.
Yeah. How do we feel about the story? Because this is to me the turning point for what the Sonic franchise became tonally. Like you said, Joe, it became very urban, and this is if you go by the original Sonic trilogy games, it's like Sonic's a little woodland creature stopping the industrial menace that is Eggman. And in this, it's but also there's an entire metropolis of humans just about, right?
This game gives me Godzilla 2000 vibes. I feel like this came out in an era where it still thought disaster movies were good. And especially by the end with the Chaos Supersonic thing, it's kind of like
the stakes get so ratcheted for the Supersonic stage.
Out of nowhere, it's kind of hilarious.
It gets so intense. 1 minute you're playing with Big, and he's like, "Where's my buddy Froggy?" And the next minute, millions are dead. 7 9/11s just happened.
I wish they actually spent some time talking about it does not matter that Sonic beats Chaos or Perfect Chaos at the end of the game. The damage is done. Everyone in that city is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they just well, see ya, Sonic. We won with the power of friendship.
No, that doesn't even happen. Sonic runs off. He avoids responsibility. It's like Man of Steel.
The story in Sonic Adventure is so interesting to me because I think it also is helped by the just bizarre voice acting. That everything that happens, I'm sort of like, are they joking? Is this a bit? And obviously, there are some. I get why they constantly have the Tikal flashbacks. I do, because they have to hint towards something overarching. You've got 6 stories, you need a reason for them all to come together. But it just... They're so, when you reach one, they're so abstract and singular that by the time you piece them all together, this could have been, an email.
Yeah, basically.
The real
so
kicker
little
is
happens in each one.
Big isn't even in the finale, right?
No, he's not.
Big isn't there. There's not a cutscene where he's like, "Sonic, you can take my emerald."
From Froggy.
He's not there. Why was Big included?
Hey man, we gotta have those fishing mini games, man.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, I have always meant to play this game with, like, the Japanese sub to see if it comes across as less goofy, right? And, because it's just, like, there's a reason lines from this game are a meme. Like, Knuckles going, "Oh no," or Eggman going, "I can't believe this," you know?
All systems, full power.
Yeah, and he just
I'll
says,
play with you some other time.
yeah, exactly.
Come on, you
like,
big drip.
yeah. Like, if we want to talk about,
to...
like, what the good story in the game is, I think it is all in Gamma's campaign.
Absolutely.
I think if someone on the Sega team had the balls to say, "Hey guys, fuck these 5 other campaigns you've made. What we have here with this robot realizing that his creator is a monster, that's really compelling. Let's go all in on that."
It's actually like
Yeah.
It feels like I think like you were saying, it feels like someone broke into the writer's room, went absolutely ham, and then was not allowed to work on the rest of the game because it's so...
He cooked too hard on one of them.
It's so well... When you're looking for, like, the jet booster upgrade, and you walk into the room and you see the Big Brother Beta being deconstructed, and it's just wordless, and Gamma steps outside and is quiet for a moment, and he goes, "That is not the right room." Like, that says so much!
Yeah.
It's so good. Nier Automata, who are you? Best it's
Yoko Taro
so
wishes he could make this fucking story.
Really?
And it does intertwine really well, like, especially, like, with the flicky stuff with the brothers and, like, the birds at the end. That's a very nice interlinking of 2 supporting campaigns that doesn't have to do with the Tikal bullshit. It's very nice and pleasant. I wanted to cite 2 things real quick. I think structurally, in terms of story, the game is a little fucking weird. I didn't get to say this a little bit earlier. The thing is there's basically 2 times you storm Eggman's ship. You storm it once and you fail, so you do it again, and that time is, like, also wonky. Like, the timeline of events is bizarre, and, like, structure-wise, like, I guess it's just to draw the game out, but, like, you just feel it, like... And second of all, the fucking Sky Chase segments. I wish the plain shmup segments were better.
Okay.
But they're not.
So the thing about the plane segments that I realized, you can just set your controller down.
Yeah.
You don't need to. No,
hard.
if you are in the default center of the screen, nothing hits you.
Really?
You win. I mean, you don't shoot anything, but, like, why would you? Are you really gonna go around giving, like, cred for getting the high score in the tornado segments of Sonic Adventure?
Well, I got 16,000 points. How many did you get?
Oh man, I'm so moist right now to hear that. Yeah.
I like, you know what? I've come around to Big the Cat. The thing about it is I think the Big the Cat game is better when you play the missions. Y'all play the missions after the main campaign where, like, you could go back and do the extra stuff.
The mission mode, yeah, I did check that out a bit with its advertising for Sonic X and Sonic 2006.
Yeah,
which are just
I mean,
PNGs
Murph,
on signs.
You sent to the to the chat before we recorded this episode the mission dialogue that was, "A fugitive has escaped from the jail of burning hell. Find the fugitive."
This seems a little above my pay grade.
It just speaks to the I mean, I think this is just like it made me realize just how funny some of the dialogue in this game is by complete accident. It's just
like the big campaign would be fine if, number one, he had a different voice.
Wonky?
I think if you gave him
that?
like an old man Sam Elliott voice, it would really sell it.
See, I see that's sensible casting, but I prefer it.
You know what?
I prefer it as it is because it means I can do a really good impression of Big the Cat.
Let's hear it.
Froggy.
Oh my
you
god.
go?
I think also they
That's
should
my-
have let John St. John just do his Duke Nukem voice.
Yes. Oh, it is John
That'd be
St.
so
John,
fun.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I completely forgot that.
And I think also the big campaign stuff would work if you literally, I don't know, had to play the level at all? Like, is there... Every big campaign, they drop you into a level that you can traverse, but Froggy's also right there in the first pool. There's no reason.
Yeah, if there was
to
a way to like unlock portions of the stage to eventually get to Froggy, the game would make more sense.
You do that in in the egg carrier one, don't you? You have to like.
Yeah, you have to let the water flood out, but that's like a button. It's like a single button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nothing.
I don't know, let Big do some, like, fishing pole combat. Like, where you need to, like, catch enemies or something.
I agree with Murph privately. I think there should have been a little bit more clarity on Froggy and Big the Cat's relationship.
Because Froggy
Like a
is,
little
like,
bit.
a frog, right? But we don't have
It's
any...
just a fucking frog.
We don't have
they're
any
just roommates.
indication. We have zero indication that Froggy actually likes hanging out with Big. The moment he saw his opportunity to leave, he took it. And Eggman's like, oh, the frog is possessed by your tail. A crazy plot point. An insane plot point.
The tail
It's
is
not-
an incredibly funny plot point.
A frog with a tail.
Oh my gosh. I wanted to cite, and I want to see if Joe agrees with me, and I don't know if Murph has played SA2. But I think the thing about SA2 is...
I don't think we should
like,
be abbreviating it to SA.
Oh, that's fair enough. Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure 2 cuts the hub stages and streamlines the campaigns into like 2 evil good campaigns and then just 3 different mission types. And I feel like a lot is missed doing that.
I
feel like I think it sucks. I think yes, because Sonic Adventure is this grand thing, it's a bit of a mess. There's hit or miss campaigns, there's hit or miss adventure elements in the overworld, but it's never I don't want to say that. It's never...
See, that's it, though. That's it. You can't say it's dog shit because something stops you. What stops people from saying Sonic Adventure is dog shit?
I think what's stopping him is the sniper outside of his window right now.
Like, does Big
because I
Sonic
had
have
fun.
that
That's
much
the secret.
power?
I had fun. And anytime I messed up, I was like, it's okay.
It is.
No, the issue with Sonic Adventure 2 for me is the fact that, first of all, I've said this already, you don't get to play as Tails at all, which is, I think, criminal. The fact that he's stuck inside his tornado the entire game is stupid. If you wanted to bring a robot character back, you should have designed Omega or another robot character for this game.
And how fun would it be to like actually control a real mech for Eggman, where you could like use a wrecking ball or like have the
Playable
giant
Eggman is
stilts or
completely
some
wasted.
shit?
It's pointless.
That'd be
It's
so
completely
fun.
pointless. And also the fact that they changed the I don't know why more people don't talk about this. You say the Knuckles levels are your least favorite in Sonic Adventure 1. They are miserable in Sonic Adventure 2. It is genuinely disgusting how those levels are designed. You know, only been able to find one emerald chunk at a time. You could be on top of another one and the game just won't tell you. It's ridiculous.
True.
Okay. The real question is, who has the better theme song of the playable cast?
Oh my god.
Big the Cat.
Big the Cats is pretty fucking good. It's like a trucker theme.
It is.
It is.
Every time he like comes in, it's like wow 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 wow.
I would like to do a spoken word reading of the first verse of Tails' song, Believe in
Oh
Myself.
my gosh.
Okay.
When I'm all alone in my chair, I just go about wishing. I want to be strong. I really want to be trusted. When I'm all alone in my bed, I just go about yearning. I want to be cool. I also want to be like him.
They're just roommates.
When I'm all alone in my chair, that 6-word sentence has been living in my head ever since I realized that's what the lyrics is. Because I just picture Tails. You know the one picture of Marge Simpson when she's just like sitting in a folding chair disassociating?
Yes.
I just picture Tails doing that.
The
He's just waiting for Sonic to show up and make his life interesting.
the Sonic Adventure like vocal themes have such interesting lyrics. I believe Biggs also has some just strange. Like the chorus of that. I'll return the favor. I'll do a bit of spoken word. The chorus of Big the Cat's one, because I think it's meant to be a conversation between him and Froggy.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's like, hey big guy, hey little guy, can you tell me who came first? And it's like, what are you talking about? Are they talking about the chicken or the egg? And it's so bizarre. And I think Knuckles is famous as well. I love Knuckles' theme.
Yeah, well, it's about how, unlike Sonic, he doesn't chuckle.
He'd rather flex his muscles.
I know.
That's a good one.
And he's hard as nails.
I'm gonna stand by what I said in this group chat. I 100% think Sonic's ending song, not the one that plays when you fight Chaos, it doesn't matter. That is sung by Sonic. If you watch the end credits, Sonic is singing it.
That's true.
Yeah, he is like speaking. His mouth is moving.
Yes.
And he's enough of a... Sonic would do that. And I also think that Tails would sing his own theme as well.
I think the game would be at least jump up an entire point if Sonic's mouth didn't move the way it does.
Yes.
No, I think Sonic's mouth moving the way that it does adds to the charm. I think it stays.
Adds to the cursed vibe.
If they ever remake Sonic Adventure and they give him normal mouth movements, sorry, no.
Brogan, you said that Open Your Heart is your favorite Crush 40 song, and that feels bold.
It is. It's because I like they do the thing where it's like, they like dress it up. It feels like a Halloween song because it's like spooky. It's like thunder, rain, and lightning, shadows, dark creatures. What's gonna happen to us?
It's a good song. I don't know if it's my favorite Crash 40, but I like a lot of Crash 40's music for Sonic.
I think my favorite will always be Live and Learn.
Live and Learn is good. I Am All of Me is just so fun. It's so like edgy. I love it.
Brogan, now about Open Your Heart, do you like the part in the Chaos fight where it's playing that song and then it's not?
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's just like the final phase where it just goes to the generic like disaster music.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, man, this got a lot less epic all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it sucked. Yeah, terrible. That Chaos fight fucking sucks. It's such a whimper of, like, Super Sonic. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just feels bad. Yeah.
I don't know.
It is what it is.
If I feel like are we winding down? Are there final thoughts?
My final thought is that if I appreciate them trying for a game like this. The problem is, and you see it with Sonic 06, as expectations and demand and budgets inflate and grow, there needs to be polish and there needs to be quality. Especially when you have these epic multi-character stories. And like even in Sonic Adventure 1, it's a mixed bag and it doesn't hold up well to age.
Mm.
Yeah, I will throw mine into consideration as well. I think Sonic Adventure, in a lot of ways, I mean, looking at modern Sonic, we've got Sonic Frontiers, I think, is the most recent example. Even now, there are parts of 3D Sonic that Frontiers didn't manage to achieve. Like, the way that Sonic moves around environments in Sonic Adventure 1 has never been able to be recaptured, and I feel like it's so strange to me that they haven't been able to do that. They they fight to, they really really want to, they just haven't done it. And because of that, I think Sonic Adventure 1 is still really valuable because it shows that with iteration, 3D Sonic could have been really really in a good place right now. I feel like you could do one of these talks for any 3D Sonic game and you'd be going anywhere. But Sonic Adventure is still important because, Jesus, like for their first time around, it was not a bad effort.
But I just think about like the poor Sega kids on the playground, right? Like Mario versus Sonic was like the debate between the children of the time. And it's 1998. A new challenger has appeared in Sony, the PlayStation, and those kids in 98 are playing Resident Evil 2, Metal Gear Solid, Crash Warped, Medieval Spyro, and meanwhile, the Nintendo kids are playing Ocarina of fucking Time.
Yep.
And Pokemon Red and Blue. And then the Sonic kids have to come out and be like, oh man, Sonic Adventure is so wild. Sometimes you hold forward and Sonic kills himself.
The game tells you that the camera doesn't behave properly.
I will say in defense of this, when you're a kid, polish doesn't matter so much. And we talk a lot about the 7 out of 10 experience. And we talk about how if you see something special in a game, you can overlook the flaws and see what... This is definitely also a test in that. Because there is something special to this game. That's why I hesitate to call it dog shit. Is because I know deep down there's something to this game. Because there's a charisma to it.
There is... The passion is infectious. And there is something that is passionate about this game. That the devs were like, no, this is what Sonic is now. Like, you can so clearly see their vision. But it's like half finished. And I think that's what's like infectious and wistful about this game. Like, I rag on this game. I make jokes about this game. I also cannot bring myself to say that it is dog shit. Even though by every metric, it should be dog shit. It's like, I don't know. If people know me, they know I am about the Rankin Bass Christmas specials. The stop-motion Christmas specials. Rudolph, Frosty, etc. I think there is something akin to that in Sonic Adventure, where it's like, I love those specials. I can't say they're good because people will judge me, but in my heart of hearts, I know that they are good. It's like that, just replace good with bullshit.
Yeah, basically. Joe, thank you for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We love to have you. We need to have you again another time. I will say, don't you have a podcast with our old friend and Stacks host, Steven?
This is true. Me and Steven are in the process of making our own... I say in the process of. Episode 1 is already out for your listeners to hopefully go.
Yeah, but that's a pilot.
That is a pilot, yeah. Once we get to episode 2 of the new label, we will consider it on the go. But yes, that is something that we are doing right now. Quick save, me and Steven. We talk about games. What are we playing at the moment? What do we think? Steven usually dislikes the thing that I like. That's how it goes.
That's common.
That is common.
Steven's a little argumentative, but also we love him.
He's not here. He's not here to defend himself right now. He's probably, it's at the time of recording this, it's 4 a.m. my time, so he's probably asleep.
When he hears this, he's gonna ping me on Discord and say a witty remark.
he will listen to this and shout at me and then proceed to mention this for however long. But we love Steven. We do.
Yes. Joe, what else you got going on?
At the moment, I am. Oh, what am I doing at the moment? I'm writing for Start Menu. That's where my Expedition 33 review will be out. I'm doing more work for PlayStation Universe. If you're interested in reading reviews about the upcoming Capcom Fighting Collection, you can check out my thoughts there later on this month. I'm also. I mean, we can talk about Skybox, can't we? We can talk about Skybox.
Yes, we can. It is officially out.
Yeah. Skybox, Will, very, very, very kindly, very incredibly, oh my god, kindly, has let me join the team, and I have currently pressed a piece to him, so you can also see me there too, hopefully.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good plug. Yes, I would highly recommend everyone checking out Skybox. I will be contributing to it. I already have, but I don't know if he kept it because I contributed the piece long ago. It was like best. It was my top 10 for 2024. I don't know if we're over that now.
No, you can talk about that. If you're interested in following me on social media, my Blue Sky is Joe Richards Writes. That is basically where I am now. I've essentially moved totally over from Twitter. I don't use that anymore. That is where you can find me.
Oh
All right.
Murph, what do we have going on?
We have a few things going on. If you flip over to the Daydreamcast YouTube channel, you'll find a lovingly made part 1 to a Halo 3 playthrough we did alongside our guests for the Halo 3 episode, Abram and Will of Skybox fame. Please go watch it. I spent a lot of sleepless nights putting together gags in that video that are on screen for like 3 seconds max. I learned how to animate. Please go watch it. I'm working on part 2 right now.
It is genuinely some of the most impressive editing I have seen, especially from like our level. Like you have exceeded leaps and bounds beyond me, and now I'm gonna make you edit everything.
Oh dear. That's fine. But also, if you want to hear me specifically, you can listen to my other podcast called This Podcast is a Bad Idea. We took a bit of a gap there, but we are coming back. We just recorded an episode last night, and it's me and my co-host Fru, and we just talk about various usually internet-focused, fandom-focused topics. This topic specifically was on fan art and official art / sequels to, like, childhood cartoon characters. And I know that's a very vague and nebulous topic. We kind of had a vague and nebulous discussion. But
so a lot of the Tumblr "Where Are They Nows"?
Yeah, or like
Ed and Eddie, but they're 40 years old.
Yeah, or like the Powerpuff CW show.
Oh my
Remember
god.
that?
Yeah.
Sure.
We read the script for that. We watched the secret trailer that got leaked. We had a jolly old discussion about that, and what a weird high concept it was.
Well, now I have to go and listen to that, because oh my god.
You know, I would say the Super Mario Bros. Movie back in the 90s is a lot like a CW show.
I would 10,000% watch the 1998 Mario Bros. CW show. Oh my god.
I think...
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? You see the vibe? Yeah.
With a sexy Bob Hoskins.
Ooh. Cool. All right, Murph. I think we're winding down now. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, I'm hitting stop.